Alright, we got a 2013 Dodge Dart here with the 1.4 liter turbo engine. We're going to be replacing the thermostat in this. Go ahead and show you the thermostat I got. So I'm going to be using this Dorman. Hopefully this is not one of those seals that doesn't like to stay put. I do see some little divots down in there, it looks like, so maybe that will hold it. But anyways, there's the replacement. And you can see we've got just 2 bolts that we have to worry about. And first thing up, we're going to get it up on ramps and start getting the coolant drained out here. Alright, so we're up on ramps, rear tire chalked. Right, our drain plugs over here on the driver's side here. Now you're also going to have plastic and some of this felt that goes underneath here. You'll have to remove that. I don't have that under here. Alright, so you come down here by your intercooler. You're on the driver's side. You look right here. Is where your drain spout is, and it's ideal if you can get a hose on this and it keeps from making a mess, but we're going to get a drain in here. And you're also going to need like a pair of these to get this opened up. Alright, we got a drain in there, and we'll go open this cap up here too. This will help get it draining a little better. Alright, so we've got about all we can get out of there, so we're going to go ahead and snug our little plug here back up. And it's pretty well impossible to turn these with your fingers. They're just turns like a quarter of a turn there. Okay, and while I'm already down here, there's a few things I want to do. First of all, I'm going to put a screwdriver under that. I'm going to get this one on the other side and get this clip up. And with that clip pushed up on both sides, we should be able just to pull this off of here if I've got it up all the way. Alright, I don't think I got the other side up. And like I said, it'll fight with you till you get both sides of that clip pulled up. Okay, now we come over here to this side of this intercooler. It's got just a 10 millimeter right here. We'll go ahead and take that out. Alright, so there's that. Alright, we're going to disconnect the battery. Back here out of the way. Got to flip these little clips. Get that to flip up. Another 10 millimeter. Alright, now we need to get the clamp. Just got another 10 millimeter. Alright, now we can lift this out of here. Alright, next thing we're going to work on removing this oil separator. Alright, this hose connected goes back here. It's easier to disconnect back here. So this is where I'm going to get it. Alright, we only got 3 of these 10 millimeters. Remember, these 2 are your short ones. This is a long one. Now, it goes without saying that you don't want to start on this unless your engine is cooled down, just in case I didn't mention that. So we'll get this other one. All right, we should have everything loose. Let's lift it up. And we're going to put something over this. Now I want to take the time just a moment. There's an O-ring that goes around this here, and every one of these I've seen that was leaking. So you want to get this O-ring off carefully. Don't scratch the bore on this. Use like a plastic tool if you got one. So just dig that old one off there, or something like this maybe. So here's that O-ring in case you need it. I just measured this with a tape measure. This is roughly what it is. But you can go to any parts store. They got all kinds of O-rings. It doesn't matter. It ain't nothing special. But these always seem to leak. And the last two engines were leaking. So get you one of them and put it back on there if you're having any issue with that, because it'll make you think that your valve cover is leaking. So like I said, this is what this looks like from the bottom. It just goes up into this and seals. Alright, next thing up, we got this hose, runs over here. Now on yours, you're going to have one of those clamps. It's a one-time clamp that crimp on there. I've already removed that, and I just put back a squeeze clamp here, so I'm able to get mine off of here. But you may want to separate it, say like right here, and leave this piece so it's just out of the way. But right here you just squeeze from the top and the bottom. You can pop that off. Now over here you just push up, push that all the way up. This here clips down into this, so you just pry this little thing open, and then you can pull that right out of there. So we have this little piece out of the way. Next thing I'm going to get on this one, so I can move this over out of the way. You're going to squeeze, pull up on that clamp. Now this is clamped into this. Pry that open, and you can get that out. So we can kind of just pull this back out of the way. Disconnect this right here, pop that back. Alright, we're moving over here to the throttle housing. Push that lock back. Push down on that with your screwdriver. Pop that out of there. Okay, this band is a 7mm. We're just going to loosen that up. That'll get that off there. Okay, now over here you're not going to have one of these screw clamps. I've removed the one that's just a crimp clamp, one-time use. Basically, what I do is I file one edge of this and break this tab, and this will come off here. So that's what you're going to have. Now, I don't know if you will have to remove this to get this pipe out of here, but it sure is not going to make things easier as far as removal. So I will be disconnecting this right here. So it's up to you. If you want to remove it here, you can get these clamps, big kits of these at Harbor Freight and places, so not a big deal. Alright, so we're going to pop this loose, maybe. Alright, so there's that piece. Just got that out of the way. Okay, so all that's left holding this is a 10mm bolt right underneath here. Alright, so there's a look at it. I don't know if I can do this and have the camera in the way, but I'm going to go right in there and loosen that up. Alright, so now we got it loose. Alright, so what I have to do to get this out of here is I kind of have to work from the top and the bottom. Let me see if I can twist it around here. So we're lifting it up, but it's kind of hanging up on this hose, and it's kind of best to go underneath and kind of work that other part Alright, so I was kind of went underneath and pushed on it. This thing here we'll try to hang up. Need to go adjust it a little more. So by pulling from the top and pushing from the bottom, you can get this out of the way. Alright, the next piece we're going to be working on is this bracket. Now you do have a few wires connected to this thing. You need to pop those loose. So we got some here and here. Alright, there's one more down on the bottom you can't really see there. Okay, there's one more down here. I need to push that off. Alright, now the wire is loose. I'm going to take you over here and show you on this other engine. It'll be a little bit easier for you to see where these bolts are, because it's going to be kind of hard to show you here without taking even more stuff off. Alright, so here we're looking at this, and we've got a 10mm on stud, bolt. Should be a bolt right here. That one's missing on this one, and then there should be one right here. Now you'll notice that this is slotted there. So we just loosen this one and we're able to slide the bracket out. Otherwise it'd be almost impossible without taking the heat shield and a whole bunch of other stuff off. So that's what we're looking at. So we have 1, 2, 3, and then loosen that one up. So we're just going to start with this one, just a 10mm open end. And you just got to get in here, loosen it up a little bit, do the best you can. If you can't do it, then you're going to be taking all this stuff off, so you need to try to figure it out. Alright, that should be loose enough for that one. Alright, I'm going to get this 10mm nut here next. And we'll get this bolt right below that. Alright, this one right here, you probably can't see it from this angle, but it's right below this Torx bolt, holds that vacuum pump there. And this is the last one. With any luck, I'll be able to slide this out of here. Alright, I'm going to try to keep from dropping this. Alright, I can see that it's loose. Alright, so you can see I just slid that right out from that bolt there. Got all of our wires and everything loose. We'll set this aside. Alright, now we're going to remove this vacuum pump. Nothing's gonna move, so don't be worried about it. You're gonna need a T45 Torx, and there's probably someone gonna say, well, I can get to that without moving that. Well, if you can, then do it. But on this one, it's coming off. It's just one more little step with 3 little bolts, and then I don't have this in the way. Let me get this first bottom one here. Alright, so there's that one. I'm going to get a hand on it because it may try to fall here. Alright, so we're just going to lift that off there. And that gasket looks like stuck on there still, so that's fine. I'll just leave it alone. And you'll want to get your drain pan back down underneath here because it's all but certain to leak more coolant. But we can at least see what we're doing here. We're going to go ahead and get this wire over here. It's just like that one wire. You got to get a little lock. Just give that a pull back. Squeeze the black part there. Okay, next thing is this hose. Like I said, I've got my drain pan Got to squeeze down really hard right there. Kind of push it on, squeeze down, and then pull it back. These can really stick. Give me a moment. All right, there it goes. So if this leaks, you can get replacements. I made another video on a different dart with a 2.0, and you can get these like a Dorman replacement, and you just fasten it on there and clip it back. So we'll get that out of the way. All right, next thing up, this is the temperature sensor. You're gonna pull, back on that, safety lock, and then give that a. All right, this one's stuck to. All right, I don't know what's going on with this one, but I used just a right angle pick tool. You'll find on a lot of cars you're going to be using pick tools a lot, and for whatever reason the mechanism didn't want to release here, so I had to use the pick tool to just pop that up just a little bit there. Okay, so here's the other kicker for you. You're going to have those locking clamps, just like this one, that are one-time use. You're going to have to break it. You're going to have to break it here, break it on this one. See, I've already, removed these before, so I've already put back these screw clamps. Like I say, you can go to Harbor Freight, get a whole box of stainless steel clamps for like $10, and nice 1/2-inch bands on them. And these work great. I'm just going to kind of pull that back there a little bit, not let it run off. So I've got other videos on breaking these clamps loose. I've done it. I've got a whole playlist, Dodge Dart videos. If you check some of them, you'll find it. I know one I did on the upper coolant hose on a 2.0 liter. I showed in detail how to take care of those pesky clamps. So I'm just loosening this one up here, and I've said I got my pan down underneath, and it's probably going to have some residual coolant in here. Let's see if this is loose enough. Now another thing about these fittings here, we're going to have to get a heat gun. These are going to be glued on here, and I mean glued on. And same for this one. I'm going to get my heat gun, and we'll heat those up right there where the clamp was, and we'll be able to actually slide them off a little bit easier. Right now, there's no way you're breaking that loose. All right, so we got the heat gun out here. Got it set on about 3.5. We're going to go ahead and heat this up. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, these are going to be stuck. It's going to probably be the most work. You could use something like this, but do not even think about prying on this surface where your vacuum pump goes. So you want to pry against the old thermostat housing, or put something up here. These I've had off not so long ago, so they're not going to be as corroded on as bad, so I should be able to get it to break loose. I said I got the pan down there, so also tilt this hose up so we're not just spilling any more. All right, now we're going to get on this hose right back here. Same thing. All right, so let's see. Get this to break loose. All right, not too bad. So yours are going to be harder to get loose if you've not had this off before. It's just, they're going to be really stuck. Lots of corrosion around this pipe here. All right, next thing up, we're going to take a 10mm. This out of here. Alright, so that's just the 10mm from the pipe that's going in here. Now that has an O-ring on it as well, And just like the other one, you know, if it's you got some leakage there, then just get yourself an O-ring, take that one off, get one that size, and put back on there. So you can even get a whole O-ring kit, so I can leave a link. Alright, I'm just going to start with this one right here. Alright, so we got that loose. Alright, so there's the first one. Alright, so I'm getting that one underneath there. It's not real easy to show you that one. I'll show you on the other engine. Alright, so there's that bottom one. Alright, so you can get a good view on this one. We just took this one and this one right here out. Alright, so at this point what we're going to have to do with the bolts out, this is going to be an O-ring here. You're going to kind of want to push it a little bit that way, and it may not be quite that simple. It may have to be wiggled off there. So you can see that O-ring right there. That's going to be kind of biting into this. So you don't have a lot of slack in that pipe. So you want to just kind of wiggle it over to this direction and take it off that way. So we're just going to go ahead and put the new one on. We'll go back over here to the car. Well, I guess we're going to get this one off first, but anyway, so it's going to be kind of stuck to the block, and we're going to have to wiggle. So just like that. Alright, so I've got my new one. We're going to try to wiggle it back on this pipe here first. Alright, now we need to get our bolts. Right, I always like to put a little bit of medium Loctite, and be careful and don't drop them. Alright, we're going to get the other one on the bottom, which you can't really see here. Let's get them started by hand. Okay, and then we got the one going in this pipe here. I want to kind of tighten these down evenly so your seal pushes down nice and even. Now these are calling for about 80 inch-pounds. I'm only going 70 on mine. That's all I'm confident that these things can take. And I'm not going to torque this one. Not really worried. I'm just going to snug that one up. Alright, let's get this hose back here. Go ahead and snug that up. Alright, we got that pretty tight. Let's get our big hose. And we got coolant setting in this hose. I'm trying to get it in a way that I don't spill any more here. I don't think I'm going to be able to, though. Alright. That thing has a notch over here that kind of goes into the other part. Alright, so let's get this one here snugged up. And I just snug them up really good till it feels nice and tight. Sometimes the diameter of these spouts will be different on the aftermarket, so I just like to run them on down till I'm pretty confident that it ain't going to leak. Alright, let's see if I can get the connector. Push that lock. this just snaps on, or it should. Alright, we got that thermostat. Let's go ahead and get our vacuum pump back on here. Now we're also going to put a little medium Loctite on these T45s. Now I will say it'd been nice to have a gasket for this vacuum pump here, but I don't have one handy, so we're going back with this one. Now I'm just going to be snugging these up as well. I wouldn't probably go more than 15 to 20 foot-pounds. Like I said, on the pump, talking about 80 inch-pounds max. I only went 70. So I've learned that these small boats will never usually take that torque, and then you got some stripped out threads to deal with. Now remember, we got our little wires down here that got to reclip. I'm sliding it back in behind this bolt and onto this stud right here. And we got our 1-2 bolts over here that we got to get in. One on the bottom. Or I'm just going to snug these up. So these don't get tightened very much. You know, you're talking about inch-pounds with these little bolts. Using my little 1/4 inch. Okay, I'm just snugging up this bolt that we slid that into there. Just gotta rotate your wrench around, do the best you can with it. Alright, that's good enough. Okay, now these wires go back on these little holes here, bracket. Okay, now one thing I missed is this connector right here. I should have already had it on. It goes down here on this vacuum pump. I'm going to have to feel down here and find the spot now. It's actually beside the vacuum pump. It's not on it. It's like right over here, if you can see. So right in here, right down in here is where this is located. So I can barely see it. So I'll push that in there. So make sure that you push that on before you put the bracket, because it makes it harder to see and line it up. But anyways, we got that. Okay, so now we've got this piece. Snaps here. We slip it down over this. And of course I'll have to put that clamp. And then we just reconnect this. Lock that, clamp it back there. I'm just putting my clamp. I said if you, it may be easier for you to separate yours here or here versus taking it off there like I did. All right, let's go ahead and get our oil separator back on. I said if you having leakage around here, get you a new O-ring before you ever put this back. I did have this routed wrong, had to slip it underneath there. Like I said, make sure your 2 short bolts go up here on the valve cover. Alright, we're going to start trying to feed this back down. So I find it the best just to kind of work, said, from the top and the bottom. It'll get kinked up and hung, and I'll just go underneath and mess with it. So I've had this out several times and I still haven't figured out the trick to it. Alright, so I'm just getting this little 10mm. Snug that up. Alright, we're just getting a little 10mm under the pipe here. Okay, now what I should have done is put this piece on before I bolted this section over here, but I did not. That's twice I've done that. So now I'm going to have to probably fight it in place. Alright. Alright, I about got it here. I think it would have been easier. Alright, so let's get these clamps here tightened up. Got our 7mm. Or I'm going to go ahead and get the battery back in. And you want to take your time and do a look over and make sure that there's not anything that you've forgotten to hook up. I'll get the clamp back in. Now I'm just getting ready to pour up what I can of this old coolant. I'll know exactly how much I'm getting back in there and conserving it. So I just run it through a paint filter there. That's how much we got back. Alright, we'll just see how much we can get back in here now. So if you hadn't put your spout back on your radiator, make sure you got that on there. Now I was able to pour every single bit of that in there, so I know I'm good to run this and even drive it down the road. So go ahead and get this cap back on here. So you can get yourself some of this. If you need to add any more, 50-50 mix. Now I know there's going to be a few drips because it spilled all of the coolant onto the top of the transmission there, so we may have a few drips. We may have to go clean it off a little bit, but as long as we don't have any new drips. Alright, so let's get it cranked up here and we'll go check it for leaks. Very hard to see anything. Don't see anything just dripping though. I said it's going to have a few drips because the coolant went on top of the transmission, so it's going to kind of drip off a little bit as we move the car. So it's to be expected that there's going to be a few drips. Don't panic. I think I'm going to take it down the road and just get some air out of it and come back and make sure that everything's looking good. So what you want to do is allow your car to cool off, and then you're going to open the cap and get the air out of it. And you'll want to do that a few times, kind of purge that air out of there, but you don't want to go immediately to taking it on a road trip till you get the air out. But there we got it. I've checked it. Don't see any leaks. No new drips. And if I did, I don't expect to see any, except for, you know, like around a hose or something. Sometimes when you disturb those hoses, you can get a leak going on there, but as far as the gaskets, usually not an issue. So that's going to do it for the video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.